Ladies and gentlemen, all of us, young and old alike, have their own dreams. At every stage in our lives, dreams are the motor that drives our passion, our enthusiasm, and our energy. T.H. Lawrence, better known as Lawrence of Arabia, once wrote, "All men dream, but not equally. Those who dream by night in the dusty recesses of their minds wake in the day to find that it was vanity. But the dreamers of the day are dangerous men, for they may act on their dreams with open eyes to make them possible." That's why Dream and Dare is our motto for the Dies Natalis. Because how can you describe what this university, Eindhoven University of Technology, stands better, shorter and more precise? How can you summarize in a better and shorter and more precise way the people who work here and the students who we educate here? Eindhoven University of Technology offers scientists a home. Not just all kinds of scientists, but better scientists. Engineers with a broad societal focus. TUe Eindhoven gives these people a foundation, a campus, to do what they are good at, and in many cases what they are excellent at. And I can say that without any false modesty. Over 60 years ago, a political lobby started with the task of establishing a second university of technology. And according to the stories I've heard, the first discussions were held at a traditional Brabant kitchen table. And no doubt with sloten coffee and the occasional worstenbroodje. And almost 10 years and een Brabants kwartiertje later, on the 23rd of June 1956, our own University of Technology came into being. Not in Maastricht, not in 's-Hertogenbosch, but here in Eindhoven, which was then already the city of new products, light bulbs, radios, television, cars. That's what we here are to celebrate today, here in the heart of Eindhoven, together with our staff, our students, and our friends. A warm welcome to all of you, especially to the Rectoris Magnifici of all the universities in the Netherlands, the board members of our partner universities, our alumni, I can see a few in the audience, our industry partners, and all others here today. With a special warm word of welcome to our international guests. But most of all, a welcome to our students. What we are really celebrating today is that the leaders and business people around that kitchen table all those years ago dared to dream about a unique and distinctive technical university here in Eindhoven. A university that is constantly seeking and finding the right balance between research and education, between theory and practice, between large projects and small scale, between dreaming and daring. Because TUe Eindhoven is in many ways unique among comparable universities. We are a campus university. We are an informal, easily accessible and caring university community. We are the core of the Brainport region, an internationally known and recognized high-tech environment. An environment that is constantly shifting its boundaries and seeking new challenges. A city where science fiction comes close to reality, as some Chinese business people found. They took a guided tour through the city led by Wim van der Leegte. And they were impressed at what they saw, especially the Evoluon. That's strange, Wim van der Leegte said. That wasn't there yet this morning. As you may know, the Eindhoven region was elected as the smartest region in the world. We at the university educate young people into smart engineers, almost all of whom find their first jobs in this Brainport region within 2 months of graduating. So, in other words, at Eindhoven University of Technology, we are educating the smartest people in the world. I think there is something wrong in this reasoning. It doesn't take anything away from the fact that all our staff and students just do those impossible things. They turn their ideas, their dreams, into usable and practical realities. Things that are important for the quality of our life, the quality of our society, and the quality of our economy. For example, our Spinoza Prize winners Bert Meijer and René Jansen and Rutger van Zanten, and our university professors Maarten Steinboeg, Bill van der Aalst and Anthony Myers. One of them dreamed a new kind of material which is now being used in a clinical study for making new heart valves. Another is researching new ways to convert solar energy into electricity and fuels. While other bright minds are developing robotics and the use of data sciences in our digital future. Or take Kees Schouwhamer-Emmink, who carried out breakthrough research on digital audio and video, and is considered the founding father of the CD, the DVD, and Blu-ray disc. These are just a few of our living heroes. But our smaller heroes are as important. Perhaps our student teams are the greatest small heroes. They are the living proof of how daring dreams are achieved. Our Stella Lux team dreamed of a solar-powered car that generates more energy than it uses. They believe in solving an energy problem with a mobility solution. And during our Jubilee Festival, you will see autonomous drones that maybe help us in our everyday life, in and around our homes. We call them drones for good. As an example, drones that will be serving drinks at our festival. These are some of our heroes and their achievements. Large and small ideas, large and small deeds, but all of them important for science, for people, and for the society at large. For example, through revolutionary new applications such as photonics, data collection by means of photons, the tiny packages of information that are transmitted by light. Compared to a photon, an electron is as heavy and slow as a giant turtle. That means that data centers will soon, and very soon if it's up to this university, consume 1,000 times less energy to send 100,000 times more data at 1,000 times higher speed. That technology will enable this region to become the photon delta of the future. We always have a strong awareness of our regional roots. And we will also have to make some sharper choices in the near future. We are young, we have a manageable scale, and we are more successful and attractive than ever before. But our budget will only grow marginally in the coming years due to choices made by the Dutch government. And in the same period, we expect to double our student numbers. So our educational workload in terms of funding and manpower will put pressure on our research workload. Nevertheless, we maintain the core characteristics of our university, and we will maintain them unchanged. The equal balance between education and research, the small scale of operation, and the intensive contact between lecturers and students. A Beta Plus science profile, with excellence as a benchmark and good links with the industry. We have to be a resilient university in a disruptively changing society. We have to adapt. We have to make choices. How we are going to do that is clear, with you. Through discussions with our staff, with our students and our partners. Because together we have a wide range of views experience and knowledge. And that creates a strong basis for good and well-considered decision-making. But what kind of these choices are we talking about? We will strengthen our technology profile, by which I mean profiling the TU Eindhoven even more strongly as a Beta Plus university. That means our engineers can choose a technical discipline and, if desired, a broadly based profile, which will allow them to gain complementary knowledge in the margin of their own specialized subjects. Knowledge about people and society, about the economy and industry, about entrepreneurship and management. The TU Eindhoven is a university of technology at which humans and technology will be a distinguishing element. It's clear that our choices will have practical consequences. Same budget. More people means no more bricks. Because that's the only way we can create the space for more scientific staff. In other words, we are literally limited in our rooms to maneuver. But we aren't limited in our creativity to deal in other ways with the growing student numbers. How can we continue the digitalization of our education? How can we make the best possible use of online courses and blended learning? How are we going to use the finances that are available? We fully endorse the importance of intertwining education and research. But should we continue to allocate our research resources to education? Or should we restore the balance between research and education? And you are familiar with this discussion. Does managed growth by limited budgets mean opting for selective admission of the bachelor and master's program? Should we even apply numerous fixes? All these choices are the elephants in the room, both large and small. And in the coming months, we are going to work together on getting all those elephants out of the room and off our campus. It's all about choices. Choices by the government, just to double our budget, or choices by us to optimize, to balance with the existing budget. Choices that will take start at the earliest, their effect in 2018. So we have to make them soon. But let's follow the old Japanese proverb. We have so little time, so let's not hurry. Let's first have an intensive discussion, and then we will make our choices. Choices that will offer the best solutions for us and for our university. So that in 60 years from now, we will still be a university where there is room for heroes and their dreams, and where there is room for science, for people, and for society at large. Thank you for your attention.
Dames en heren, helpt de techniek ons, cosmopolieten, om beter met elkaar te communiceren? Dit jaar heb ik met studenten uit verschillende delen van de wereld samengewerkt. De Chinese student sprak Chinglish, ik sprak Dunglish. U kunt zich voorstellen dat we elkaar lang niet altijd goed begrepen. En dat onze samenwerking niet vermakkelijkte. Ook buiten de universiteit staat de toren van Babylon tussen ons in. Wanneer ik op vakantie ben, probeer ik met handen en voeten duidelijk te maken dat ik op zoek ben naar de pinautomaat. Maar de Chinese local verstaat mij niet. Wat zou het geweldig zijn als mijn telefoon mijn vraag vertaalt, uitspreekt in elk mogelijk Chinees dialect en vervolgens het antwoord van de local terugvertaalt in algemeen beschaafd Brabants. Techniek heeft het mogelijk gemaakt dat iedereen, waar ook ter wereld, met elkaar contact kan houden. Dat is mooi, maar techniek helpt ons nog niet om echt met elkaar te communiceren. We verstaan elkaar dus niet goed. Dat is jammer, want in een wereld die steeds kleiner wordt, wordt de cacophonie van woorden steeds groter. Hoe mooi zou het zijn als we elkaars woorden begrepen? Hoe geweldig zou het zijn als de techniek ons daarmee zou kunnen helpen? Helaas zijn vertaalcomputers verre van perfect. Google Translate heeft ieder van ons al eens verrast met een rare vertaling. Zo niet? Kijk dan maar eens op het scherm rechts van mij. Ik ben ervan overtuigd dat het beter kan. Dat het beter moet. Om vertalingen te verbeteren studeer ik Data Science aan de TU Eindhoven en volg ik vakken in Leiden over de syntaxis en semantiek van natuurlijke taal. Google Translate gebruikt statistiek om een vertaling te maken, maar maakt geen gebruik van een essentieel kenmerk van de taal: de structuur. Volgens mij moet je statistiek en structuur van taal combineren. Door een zin structureel te analyseren kan je de relaties tussen zinsdelen en woorden vastleggen. Vervolgens kan je die relaties op eenzelfde manier terug laten komen in een andere taal, wat voor 2 soortgelijke zinnen zorgt. Helaas betekent dat niet dat de vertaalde zin direct een goede betekenis heeft. Niks is immers zo ambigu als taal. Hier komt statistiek van pas. Een statistische data-analyse kan ons vertellen welke betekenis het waarschijnlijkst is. Door het integreren van beide benaderingen komt on-the-fly vertalen steeds dichterbij. Hopelijk lukt dat nog voor deze zomer, dan kan ik misschien wel mijn weg vinden naar de flappertapper in China. Dan gaan wij, wereldburgers, elkaar eindelijk begrijpen. Daar ga ik voor. Want een wereld waarin mensen elkaar beter begrijpen, wordt beslist een betere wereld. Dank u.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with a confession. My mother insisted that I shared my childhood dream today here with you. She's sitting somewhere there. Good to have you here, Mom. At the time, I didn't think what my mother suggested was a good idea. After all, who isn't ashamed of their childhood dreams? But I changed my mind as today approached, because I discovered I still have the same dream. As a child, I want to be an inventor, creating things, making things, and doing things. Right now, I'm getting near the end of my studies. And even though I'm studying in an incredibly interesting and stimulating environment, I still don't know what I'm going to contribute to this world. I have no clear vision of my own future. Then again, is there anything wrong with that? I'm studying in the Built Environment department with a major in urban systems and real estate. That's really a study program on the commercial side of the building industry. We don't develop any groundbreaking software, robots with artificial intelligence, or the solar cell of the future. If you were to ask me, when we talk about sustainability and innovation, even in this year, 2016, most of the people in the building industry are clueless. So perhaps I could be the one who can change all that. Because I know that's an area where I want to make my own contribution. But what could I do? How could I do it and when? None of that's clear to me yet. Maybe I don't really have a dream, but more a dare. A dare to take responsibility, to create sustainable buildings, innovative buildings that will benefit society, buildings that will be a revolution to the entire industry. When I want to reach that key position, I'll need to be an engineer of the future. In fact, I'll need to be the engineer of the future. And to reach that key position, I need to be an engineer of the future, I already told you. I'm sorry. I think it's important that you use your opportunities to the full. That you don't get distracted by the fear of the unknown, and that you don't just choose the easy way out. But I'm afraid my timing isn't very good. So, I would like to address the executive board of this university. Gentlemen, if your successors in 30 years from now decide to give the campus another renovation, please give me a call. Thank you for your attention.
Hi, I'm Maaike, and this is my story. This summer, I will move to Boston to do my PhD at Harvard. I'm going to do research to a new imaging technique to image cardiac diseases. I'm amazed that that is going to be my story. And it keeps me thinking, what got me to that point? What got me to this chapter? It's not that I'm the smartest girl at the biomedical engineering department, not even by far. I was the smartest girl in high school, but it took me a lot of effort to pass all my courses at the university. But after a lot of hard work, last week I received my master's degree. Lucky me. It's also not that I'm born as a physics teacher and I teach my students so well. I did get my teaching degree as well, but it doesn't mean that I'm a good teacher yet. I have to develop those teaching skills from now on. They told me, you get your degree, and after that, you become a teacher. So from now on. It's also not because of the company that I started is going to turn into $1 million business. I just started it because I wanted to share my research to high school students by developing courses and teaching them. I might sell some parts, but it's not going to make me that rich. It's also not because of my role in the board of a student consultancy. I thought I was a true leader, but eventually surrounded by other leaders, you will see that there are several kinds of being a leader. And it also depends a lot on the team you're working in. So everything together, I worked with people with different backgrounds, and eventually even took part of a research competition. We didn't win, but at that point, we understood that it's very important to collaborate in research as well, to get it to that higher level. So, now it gets me to the point, what did get me to this chapter of doing a PhD at Harvard? Because it's clear that it's for me, not being the best or being the smartest in one thing or in everything together. For me, the most important thing is that I push myself to my limits, that I take every chance that gets in my way or on my path, and that I connect people to learn from and with them. And that's something that I learned at the TUe Eindhoven. And no one will take that away from me. And I will take that with me to Boston to push myself and a team of smartest people of the world to get to the point that we find a new imaging technique to image cardiac diseases. And as a team, it will be our footprint in society. So this chapter, chapter 1, will be the first chapter of my story. Thank you.
When I was young, I had it all figured out. Just like our current rector magnificus, I grew up in Eindhoven. And every time I passed the university in the car with my parents, I thought, I am going to study there. But when I got older, things changed a bit. I wanted to go to a different city, study something less technological and more theoretical. However, I really didn't know what. But things turned out fine in the end. I visited the information days at the TU Eindhoven and ended up at this nice university. And I can say for sure that this is the university that suits me best. In the past 4 years, I've learned a lot. I've learned to challenge myself on all kinds of fields, inside and outside of my study. But I've also learned to dream even more. That childhood dream of studying at this university became a reality. So I'm sure that my future dreams will also come true. During my applied physics studies, I've had the opportunity to help build a new kind of biosensor. This bachelor end project was very difficult, but very fulfilling, and it made me very proud to be a part of such a relevant and important research. And the thing that it taught me most of all is that I definitely want to make my career in research. There's another thing I'd like to share with you. Next to studying, I've always been quite busy, but before I started, I never even dared to dream of doing something like this. I've had the pleasure to perform and sing in a musical, Rent, which we performed 2 years ago. But then, 2 months ago, I had the opportunity to perform yet another musical. And these two experiences, I will never forget. And they taught me to be less afraid of showing who I am and what I can do. Without them, I don't think I would have been able to stand here today and talk to you about my dreams. And who knows, there might even be more projects like these in the future. By studying at the TUe Eindhoven, I've become a different person. At high school, I was quiet and reserved. But now I've become a confident young woman who takes every opportunity that comes along her path. My next opportunity, my next challenge, so to say, will be my external internship in Australia, trying out a new environment and gaining new experiences. And after that, graduating. And after that, what if I suddenly don't want to do research anymore? That's why I want to spread my chances by getting a PhD and getting my teacher's degree at the TUE. That way, I can pave new paths for myself for the future. You know, one day I might even be able to work at a university. I've heard good things about that. There, I'd be able to combine research and education, and that is my dream. I know I will have to work very hard to get there, but I know I can be able to do it. I'm definitely prepared to go for it. So, think back to this moment in the Catharinakerk. Maybe one day you'll see my name in the papers. After a brilliant career as a professor, a researcher, and dean of this university, Professor Dr. Ingenieur Annabel Romein has been appointed as new Rector Magnificus of Eindhoven University of Technology. And one thing I can promise you is a very special inaugural speech. Thank you for your attention.
Some weeks ago, my 5-year-old daughter asked me what I'm doing for a living. Some parents visited her class, and she was very impressed by the nurse who could cure people and the carpenter who could make anything. And in fact, to be precise, she did not ask me what I do for a living, but why I was not a carpenter and why I was not finishing her bedroom. So I had to come up with an answer. And I told her that I'm a teacher and that I teach kids that are a bit older than she is how to do calculations. So 2 + 4 is 6, she said. I said, yeah, something like that, and sometimes with bigger numbers. But then she asked me, then can you also do what that chimp can do with the numbers 1 to 9? And I immediately knew what she meant. She meant this YouTube movie we've been watching. Have you seen that movie? This is the chimp. And the chimp gets only 20 milliseconds to spot the numbers 1 to 9 at arbitrary positions. Then the numbers disappear, and the chimp needs to point them out in increasing order. Let me show you how the chimp does. It's impressive, right? And I had to admit to my daughter that no, I can't do what this chimp does, perhaps with 5 numbers, perhaps that's doable. But clearly this was not a satisfactory answer because I ended up explaining my daughter that I'm doing monkey business and not even that, right? So I had to do something else. By the way, I did finish her bedroom that week, just to show her that I'm a bit of a carpenter, but that's all not important now. I give it another try. What is my job as a mathematician? Well, I'm a mathematician in science, which means that I divide my time between research and teaching. So my research is about mathematical modeling of networks. And with data, algorithms, and complex network structures everywhere, in nature and in our digital society, we have plenty of opportunities, our research group, and inspiration to develop new mathematical theory. Well, that's a bit abstract, I realized when I told her this. So I decided to make my own YouTube video in terms of a theme park and selfies, two things that my daughter likes, to explain her what type of research I'm doing. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna show you that video. Welcome. Today we're going to talk about congestion or bottlenecks in networks. And a nice example is a theme park where many of us are standing in line to get into the rides. And the most popular ride, that's the one with the biggest lines, and that's what we call the bottleneck. But there is also a bottleneck above us in the clouds. Whenever we send data, it's sent up to the cloud and goes to a data center where all these data packets are standing in line to get transmitted eventually. And it's probably much busier there than in the theme park. Okay, so traffic, communication and energy networks form the backbone of our modern society. To deal with the complexity of these networks, we need to develop radically new ways of thinking. The ultimate goal of my research and many others is to build self-organized and intelligent networks. So exciting times and a strong interplay between societal problems on the one hand and theoretical research. But still, I looked at my daughter, the answer was not there yet. So I decided to take a step back and tell her a completely different explanation, that mathematician is the best job in the world. And to back that up by numbers, what you see here is the biggest career poll done every year in the US. And for some people this still comes as a surprise, but if you look at the top 6 jobs, 4 out of the top 6 jobs involve mathematics. There's actuary, a mathematician who applies things to finance, a mathematician, a statistician, and a data scientist. And that's also why CareerCast, who runs this poll every year, came up with the slogan, "Math Matters," to summarize in 2 words their view on the future job market. And the main reason for these top rankings is that there's much more demand for mathematicians than supply. So more high school students should choose for mathematics. Not everybody, but clearly a larger percentage. So some time ago, I decided to drop this message as often as possible. And I'm doing it again, here today. And for a scientist, this is not the most obvious message, because I would rather talk, I'm going to be honest, about cutting-edge research and the beauty of math. But then to come up with bold management terms like, it's the best job in the world, or it's a great career prospect, is not the most natural thing, but I felt somebody had to do it, and so did quite a few of my colleagues in mathematics. Indeed, we started to approach media, newspapers, giving public lectures to spread the word. Here, for instance, you see an article written together with my colleague Remco van der Hofstad. It was published in the newspaper, and as you can tell, we're a bit biased journalists. This is a bit opportunistic, but the message was clear. Please come and study mathematics, because it's important for society. It gives you a great outlook, and most importantly, it's challenging and fun. It's the type of puzzling you do as a kid, and why not keep doing that? Okay, so I'm going to show you some recent numbers. So luckily the tide is turning. What you see here is the influx of first-year math students at this university, and it holds in general in the Netherlands. So only 10 years ago, this university was down to, as you can tell on the left, to 25 students, first-year freshman mathematics. And now we grew a lot. And it seems, if we look at the numbers, that next year, next academic year, we're going to cross that magic barrier of 100 students. And that's great. But the steep increase in students does not only hold for math, it holds for many engineering studies, as Jan just explained. So this has everything to do with a more general concept some people refer to as STEM. I'm not sure if everybody knows this term, but it stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And it refers to the toolbox that our engineers need to change society. And I think we saw 4 very impressive presentations some minutes ago. Many people use this word in the context of STEM problem. And then they mean that there's a mismatch on the job market, that we don't educate enough people with these skills. Estimates say that in 2020, 1 million jobs in Europe and 3 million jobs in the US will go unfilled because of this mismatch. But that's the downside, and I've showed you the numbers for math, and this holds for many engineering studies. We'll repair that. That will be okay. What makes this STEM appeal even more to us is that the entire society around us starts speaking the language of engineers, or the language of mathematicians in my case. So I would call that, and some others as well, digital literacy. And that means that you don't need to be an engineer by training to understand what the possibilities of engineering are. So as a politician or a business leader, if you understand this, you could start a dialogue with us and the students. So it's not only us training our students to go outside and make a mark on that world. It's also that world around us that puts an ever-increasing demand on our capabilities, our skills, and so we have to engage in a dialogue with society. Now, we're celebrating today that this university is 60 years old. And I'm convinced that, I wasn't around then, but I'm convinced that 60 years ago, mathematics was as beautiful as it is today. But things have changed. Where mathematics, and I'm just going to stick to my own topic, but I'm sure you can reflect on it from your own expertise. While mathematics was an exotic training meant for a small group of students, it's now a central part of our society. This also means that we, mathematicians, engineers, need to engage more in that society and work beyond our natural, historical, existing boundaries. So once I started promoting that math is important, I also felt more than ever to show how and why. And that has consequences. It means that, in my case, I spent a fraction of my time, let's say 1 day a week, on activities that are other things than traditional mathematics. When I look at it, it's a fairly small investment for which I get a lot of in return. And I want to end this presentation by giving you 3 examples of such activities. The first example is a collaboration I started with people at this university. And I did that together with my colleague Sam Borst, and we started a collaboration with the quantum group in physics, to be specific with Savas Kokkelmans. And in physics, networks are also extremely important. For instance, to describe the interactions between cold atoms in gases. That was our topic. And I had to learn a lot because I virtually knew nothing about quantum physics. But by jointly supervising a talented PhD student, you see him here, Jaron Sanders, we obtained our first result, combining cutting-edge physics and cutting-edge math. And the research community appreciated it a lot. And now this collaboration holds a great promise. Just because our groups, the group of Savas and our group, were willing to reach out. The only thing, I have to be honest, we can't agree upon is whether Albert Einstein was a physicist or a mathematician after all. We'll take it afterwards to discuss this. Another example is a project I recently started with the Ministry of Infrastructure. Last October, it became clear that congestion on our national highways is rising quickly. In fact, delays increased with 25% in only 1 year time. The ministry now has asked us to develop a mathematical model for predicting the congestion on our highways in 2020. It's a great question that my colleague Marco Boon and I are now working on with a team of students and traffic experts in The Hague, and hopefully after the summer we have our results and you get to read about it in the newspapers. The final example I want to show you, it's a really nice project, and it's about developing material for high school students. Some years ago, I started giving many public lectures, initially for high school students, later for general audiences, people that are interested. The most visible ones were the lectures I recorded for Universiteit van Nederland. And in that way, through these lectures, I've met many inspiring people, politicians, high school teachers, and the idea was born to create new study material for high schools that lets you experience what science is all about at an early age. And with several people, including Patricia Dankers of the TUe, we are running this project, and our dream is to inspire the many high school students in the Netherlands. So, the third side to my job, next to research and teaching, is reaching out. Reaching out not only to fellow researchers or to the general public, but also to high school students, companies, governments, and policymakers. This third side, I must say, has been as rewarding as the other two. It's amazing how much response you get once you open up. And sometimes, I must admit, it feels even a bit unfair. Because I've noticed that if you have an opinion in this country on traffic, or jams on highways, or on education in high schools, or what should be changed, you receive much more response than when you prove a new theorem in mathematics. But that's okay. I hope to convince you that math matters anyway. Or put differently, at a more general level, you could say we live in a digital society where people matter. I really like that slogan. It's buzzing around at this university for a while. And that brings me to the end. Back to my daughter and her difficult question. One day, my daughter will probably choose to study where her heart lies. And by that time, she should know about the digital skills that are important for all people in society. So I hope in 10 years from now, and she's free to do whatever she likes, of course, but in 10 years from now, she fully understands what we do here at the TUe and what we mean by this slogan. But for now, I think I found the answer to her question. A mathematician is a carpenter in a digital society, although his toolbox does not contain hardware. I'd rather call it software, or in my daughter's terms, magic tricks and apps on the smartphone that can solve any puzzle. Thank you.
Thank you. because I have to clear up a lecture. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I now proceed with the formal part of this academic event. We now come to the degree ceremony of Professor Mark Kushner. The honorary doctorate is awarded for his pioneering work in the field of plasma physics and for his outstanding achievements in advanced plasma modeling. I invite Professor Kushner, Professor Kruse, and the Vice Dean of the Department of Applied Physics, Professor Klerks, to come forward. Through the power invested in us by law, the doctorate board of the Eindhoven University of Technology has decided to confer the degree of Doctor Honoris Causa to Professor Mark J. Kushner of the University of Michigan, USA, and to appoint as honorary promoter Professor Gerrit Kruse, Professor of Plasma Physics. And I request the honorary promoter to perform the duties entrusted to him.
Mark Kushner is one of the absolute world leaders in the field of plasma physics, to be more precise, the area of numerical plasma modeling. He has been active since 1978, when he published his first paper on a copper chloride laser. From that time on, he has been publishing at an almost constant rate for almost 40 years. At this moment, he has been cited more than 10,000 times, a very high value in the plasma physics community. He obtained his BSc, Bachelor of Science diploma from UCLA, his PhD from Caltech, and before entering academia, he has worked at Sandia National Laboratories, Lawrence Livermore National Laboratories, and at Spectra Technologies Incorporated. In 1986, he started his academic career at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. He remained with this university until 2004, when he moved to Iowa State University, and in 2008 he moved again to his present position at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. During his entire career, Mark has been at the forefront in the field of plasma physics. Already when I started as a PhD student in 1984, I studied papers of the great Kushner, who at that time took the lead worldwide in the modeling of radio frequency plasmas for plasma etching. He was one of the first to give insight in the structure of the sheath, the space charge region around the glow area of the plasma. In 1996, I had to write a review on one of Mark's papers for the journal Physics World. I concluded that review by complimenting Mark's understanding and predictions of the behavior of dust particles in various plasma regimes. But I concluded with the remark that his simulations were indeed very useful and groundbreaking, but an extension into three-dimensional modeling was required to be able to realistically predict the behavior. At that time, nobody in the world was even thinking about 3D simulations. When the Physics World Review came out, I got a very nice email from Mark, in which he also stated, well, we are close to finishing the 3D work also. This was a decade before others dared to venture into this. He was also the first to extend the modeling from fluid models into the world of hybrid model and an iterative approach of corpuscular Monte Carlo modeling and the fluid approach. Mark has not shied away from administration. When he became a dean in Urbana-Champaign, I asked him how he would manage, how would he combine his administration with running a science group. His answer was, just imagine how much time we all waste every day by sleeping. Mark was the first to combine two internationally leading conferences in the field of plasma physics. He was the chair of the executive committee of the Gaseous Electronics Conference that was organized in conjunction with the Japanese ICRP. The location, Maui in Hawaii, however, also contributed to the success of that meeting. We are very proud to have Mark as Doctor Honoris Causa of the Eindhoven University of Technology. He is the person worldwide who deserves this title in the field of plasma physics, and we are even more proud that he is willing to join our university as distinguished professor. Mark, we all look forward to the fruitful cooperation that will arise from this. Once again, and now I speak on behalf of the whole community of plasma physics, I congratulate you with this honorary degree.
I request the audience to rise during the pronunciation of the honorary promoter of the formula conferring the honorary degree.
By virtue of the authority given to us by the law, and on behalf of the doctorate board, I hereby award you, Professor Mark J. Kushner, the degree of Doctor Honoris Causa. On account of your achievements in the field of plasma physics and for your outstanding achievements in advanced plasma modeling, I grant you the prerogatives belonging to the degree of Doctor. In witness thereof, I hereby present you the certificate signed by the Rector Magnificus and the honorary promoter and marked with the seal of the Eindhoven University of Technology. In addition, you receive the kappa that benefits a Doctor Honoris Causa.
I invite Professor Kushner to come forward for his speech, and I request the audience to be seated.
Thank you for this honor that you have bestowed upon me today. The reason why I'm here today is in part because of small success that I've had in my career. But the more important reason I'm here today is a reflection of the excellent work done here in the Department of Applied Physics at Eindhoven University of Technology in the fields of plasmas and plasma material processing. The success and impact of researchers in these fields have opened up the possibility of my receiving this honorary degree. So what are plasmas? Plasmas are gases that have been activated with chemical reactivity by electron collisions. From a scientific perspective, plasmas hold many critical insights to how the universe works. 99% of the universe is plasma. From a technological perspective, these plasmas are responsible for the high quality of life that we enjoy. Microelectronics, solar cells, medical implants, and vast arrays of materials would not exist if not for plasmas. The Department of Applied Physics is an international leader in investigating these science challenges in plasmas and in developing the plasma technologies that are resulting in societal benefit. The research groups of elementary processes and gas discharges, plasmas and material processing, and the science and technology of nuclear fusion are defining the state of the art in their fields. The world-leading contributions extend across the entire gamut of the field, from fundamental modeling and theory and diagnostics and materials development to technology demonstrations. The ability of the plasma research groups in applied physics to make advances to provide this societal benefit rests in the excellence of the research and their ability to work with industry to transfer that research to your homes. The close association of plasma research here at Eindhoven University of Technology with the Dutch Institute for Fundamental Energy Research demonstrates how plasmas will be a part of your green future. It is most appropriate that the celebration of the foundation of the university is titled Dream and Dare Festival. The most telling feature of the present and future impact of the plasma researchers at this university is their ability to dream what could be and to dare to do it. There was a time that it was merely a dream that you could use plasmas to treat humans and improve their health care. And now, through the efforts of the researchers here at the University of Technology, you can use plasmas to treat cancer. Today, the dream is transforming the world to green, sustainable energy using plasmas. The Eindhoven researchers are daring to do that as well. Thank you.
I have the honor to congratulate you, Professor Kushner, on behalf of the Doctorate Board, the Executive Board, and the whole community of the Eindhoven University of Technology. Thank you. We now come to the degree ceremony of Professor Joanna Eisenberg. The honorary doctorate is awarded for her pioneering work in the field of bio-inspired materials engineering and for her outstanding achievements in employing biological design principles in the development of materials with unprecedented functionalities. I invite Professor Eisenberg, Professor Sommerdijk, the Dean of the Department of Chemical Engineering and Chemistry, Professor Schouten, and the Dean of the Department of Biomedical Engineering, Professor Hilders, to come forward. Through the power invested in us by law, the Doctorate Board of the Eindhoven University of Technology has decided to confer the degree of Doctor Honoris Causa to Professor Joanna Eisenberg of Harvard University, Cambridge, USA, and to appoint as honorary promoter Professor Nico Sommerdijk, Professor of Bio-Inspired and Multi-Scale Materials. I request the honorary promoter to perform the duties entrusted to him.
Ladies and gentlemen, in biology, we find materials with complex and often hierarchical structures that are optimized to fulfill one and frequently more than one specific function. Professor Eisenberg has been a pioneer, not only in unraveling how nature addresses these complex issues, but also in employing the design strategies from nature in development of new artificial materials with unprecedented functionalities. She has studied how organisms make optical lenses from calcium carbonate and optical fibers from silica, how the structure of beetle scales lead to specific colors, and how pitcher plants catch insects. These studies inspired her to produce materials in which the functionality was encoded in their structure, such as inks that can detect chemical structures, surfaces that can catch and release molecules, and materials that are so slippery that nothing sticks to them, neither oil, nor blood, nor ketchup. Essential to these achievements is the unique approach of Professor Eisenberg, in which she brings together many different disciplines. She combines surface science, polymer science, crystal growth, biology, and materials engineering. Her scientific career brought her to work in some of the greatest research labs in the world, including the Weizmann Institute of Science, Harvard University, and Bell Labs, before she started her current lab at Harvard, where she guides young, talented, and enthusiastic researchers in establishing their own independent career. On many occasions, these young, enthusiastic people have been the honor students of our own university, who have always been welcome to perform their bachelor project in her lab. Professor Eisenberg is worldwide recognized and honored as the absolute world top in the domain of bio-inspired materials engineering, as evidenced by her many prestigious awards and prizes and her impressive list of publications, which include 15 original publications in Science and Nature. Even more remarkable, ladies and gentlemen, is that Professor Eisenberg's research efforts are not only of great fundamental importance, but are also resulting in numerous inventions of high technological relevance, for which she received the R&D 100 award, let's say the Oscar in R&D, by R&D magazine, both in 2012 and 2013. She has developed materials for a variety of engineering and biomedical applications, including low-friction surfaces, optical detection systems, anti-fouling coatings, and control release systems. The research of Professor Eisenberg, therefore, not only has a perfect match with the TUE focus areas energy and health, but also with the activities in the Institute for Complex Molecular Systems and the Eindhoven Polymer Laboratories. Professor Eisenberg already holds strong connections with our university, in particular with the departments of Chemical Engineering and Chemistry and Biomedical Engineering. She has visited our university on several occasions to present lectures and acts on advisory boards of two big projects. This honorary doctorate is not only a sign of recognition of her scientific achievements, but also marks our appreciation for her close collaboration with our university. We are therefore very happy that Professor Eisenberg has also accepted an honorary professorship, as part of which she will regularly visit Eindhoven to engage in the research and the teaching of our two departments, which no doubt will lead to further intensification of our collaboration and our friendship. Thank you.
I request the audience to rise during the pronunciation by the honorary promoter of the formula conferring the honorary degree.
By virtue of the authority given us by law, and on behalf of the doctoral board, I hereby award you, Professor Joanna Eisenberg, the degree of Doctor Honoris Causa. On account of your achievements in the field of bio-inspired materials engineering and your outstanding achievements in employing biological design principles in the development of materials with unprecedented functionalities, I grant you the prerogatives belonging to the degree of doctor. In witness hereof, I thereby present you the certificate signed by the Rector Magnificus and the honorary promoter and marked with the seal of Eindhoven University of Technology. In addition, you will receive the kappa that benefits the Doctor Honoris Causa.
I invite Professor Eisenberg to come forward for his speech, and I request the audience to be seated.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited. I'm extremely honored. I'm also a little bit surprised because the first thing that came to my mind when I heard about this honor was how come that Technical University of Eindhoven, Dutch school, would make a mistake of giving this honor to probably the only professor in the world who doesn't know how to ride a bicycle. I hope it will still stay with me, as I really like this school. I love this school. I respect science that is done here in many different ways. My interactions are indeed already very deep. I'm working already now with at least 2 groups in this university, groups that are known everywhere in the world, leading groups in chemistry, in particular in understanding how nature creates crystals, to image these processes, to understand natural systems, and in supramolecular chemistry, definitely a leading topic in the world and the leading university that is doing this research. But I hope that by having this degree from 2 departments, from departments of chemistry and chemical engineering, but also from Department of Biomedical Engineering, I will expand it even further. I will deepen these interactions, and I'm looking forward for our collaborations with both departments, and in particular with Department of Biomedical Engineering. Thank you.
I have the honor to congratulate you, Professor Eisenberg, on behalf of the Doctorate Board, the Executive Board, and the whole community of the Eindhoven University of Technology. We now come to the degree ceremony of Professor Gilbert Laporte. The honorary doctorate is awarded for his pioneering work in the field of transportation, science and logistics, and for his outstanding achievements in vehicle and art routing. I invite Professor Laporte, Professor van Woensel, and the Dean of the Department of Industrial Engineering and Innovation Sciences, Professor Hendricks, to come forward. Through the power invested in us by law, the Doctorate Board of the Eindhoven University of Technology has decided to confer the degree of honoris causa to Professor Gilbert Laporte of HEC Montreal in Canada, and to appoint as honorary promoter Professor Tom van Woensel, Professor of Freight Transport and Logistics. And I request the honorary promoter to perform the duties entrusted to him.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have the great honor to introduce you our last honorary doctorate of today, Professor Gilbert Laporte. Professor Laporte is a full professor at HEC in Montreal, and he holds there the Canada Research Chair in Distribution Management since 2001. He did a Bachelor of Mathematics at McGill University in Montreal and a Master in Operational Research in Lancaster University, and he holds a PhD in Operations Research or Operational Research in London School of Economics. He started his academic career in 1976 as an assistant professor, again at HEC Montreal, and he's there a full professor since 1986. He's a member of the leading inter-university research center at the same university, and that's also where we have quite some ongoing collaborations. Professor Laporte already received quite some scientific awards, including the Glover Klingman Prize, the Lifetime Achievement Award in Location Analysis and in Transportation Science, but this is the first honorary doctorate. It is very difficult to underestimate the practical relevance, the scientific impact and importance of the work of Professor Laporte. In the research field of transportation science and logistics, it is impossible, we saw this yesterday already again at the symposium we organized, it is impossible not to reference to any of his papers. Listing all his contributions would take me too far away, given the very limited time I only have available, but I just want to mention that the key focus of his work encompasses combinatorial optimization applied to vehicle routing, arc routing, timetabling, amongst others. What is the vehicle routing problem exactly? The vehicle routing problem is basically visiting a number of customers or drop-off points as efficiently as possible. This sounds very easy, but this is an extremely hard problem, and if we start taking into account many real-life features, this gets worse. Now, the vehicle routing problem occurs, for example, in e-commerce, order deliveries, or retail store deliveries. If you look at the mirror problem, rather than visiting nodes, you could also say, I'm going to visit arcs. And then it could be something like garbage collection, winter gritting, snow removal, and so on. And this is a similar type of problem, but slightly different. Now, all in total, this work leads to more than 500 journal publications, and we're still counting. And this has led to more than 40,000 citations up to now. Over the past years, our group had many ongoing collaborations with Professor Laporte via PhD students who graduated, who actually went there for a position, and also advisory board and participation in a number of research projects. Most of this work involved vehicle routing in a city logistics context. This is of course becoming more and more, also at our university, becoming a more and more important research domain, given, for example, the e-commerce growth or the increased attention for sustainability. For me personally, Professor Laporte is a fantastic mentor and a highly regarded colleague. He guided us in many occasions, and he was always extremely helpful and very open to work together on our challenging but very interesting transportation research problems. For now, Professor Laporte will of course remain involved the coming years in many of our research projects in various roles, and he will stay to be an important mentor for us working in the field of transportation science and logistics. Specifically, we aim to also work more and more together on city logistics type of problems, and through his role of a distinguished professor, we can only enforce this position as a leading university in terms of city logistics, and smart mobility. Thank you.
I request the audience to rise during the pronunciation by the honorary promoter of the formula conferring the honorary degree.
By virtue of the authority given to us by law and on behalf of the doctorate board, I hereby award to you, Professor Gilbert Laporte, the degree of Doctor Honoris Causa. On account of your achievements in the field of transportation science and logistics, and for your outstanding achievements in vehicle and arc routing, I grant you the prerogatives belonging to the degree of doctor. In witness thereof, I hereby present you the certificate signed by Director Magnificus and the honorary promoter and marked with the seal of the Eindhoven University of Technology. In addition, you receive the kappa that befits a Doctor Honoris Causa.
I invite Professor Laporte to come forward for his speech, and I request the audience to be seated.
Dear Mr. Chairman of the Board of the University, dear Rector Magnificus, dear Professor Van Munsell, dear fellow honorary doctors, dear Anne, dear guests, I feel extremely delighted and honored to be awarded a doctorate honoris causa from the Eindhoven University of Technology, a world-class research institution in the field of engineering. I sincerely thank Professor Tom Van Munsell for suggesting my candidacy. I also thank the selection committee as well as the university for having organized this event in such a wonderful setting. Over the past few years, I have collaborated on several scientific projects with faculty members, postdoctoral fellows, and PhD students from the School of Industrial Engineering, namely in the areas of city logistics and green transportation. I am truly impressed with the high scientific quality of the researchers in the operations planning, accounting, and control group. Over the past years, this group has gained an enviable international reputation in the area of logistics. I wish to maintain and enrich my research collaboration with TU Eindhoven in the coming years. I wish the Eindhoven University of Technology a very happy birthday. Thank you.
I have the honor to congratulate you, Professor Laporte, on behalf of the Doctorate Board, the Executive Board, and the whole community of the Eindhoven University of Technology.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor to close now this official part of our foundation anniversary. I think we presented you a program where you could see the dreams and the daring aspects. You could see how Board of Management sometimes has to do daring choices. Or you could hear the natural dreams of our students, of which we all are so proud. You could hear how a professor of mathematics explained to you the beauty of mathematics for ages already, but then still done years ago maybe in the ivory tower, and now standing really in the heart of society, where that is becoming very, very important. Where we heard the sound, the voices of angels, and then where we could see more mature dreams by our honorary doctors to complete this full picture of dreaming and daring. Now, before we go to the reception, where I ask you to follow us, I want to ask you to just sit for a few minutes, because first of all, I thought there would be a bit of a tear-jerking film in the beginning to give you some goose pimples about dreams and young people and science. I don't know if it was there when we were not in, but we certainly will now close off with a small film more ended on our students, because I can imagine that classical music is not always your thing. Then I would sing, listen to this.